So here I want to talk about something that they've been programming people a long time in the media, in film industry, in music, and basically in all of the pop culture stuff to accept the concept of nuclear winter. And when you do a quick search for the term nuclear winter, a lot of times what you'll get is these images of people wearing these weird gas masks, and a lot of them appear to be possibly military personnel. And they're sort of in these backgrounds where it looks like this very desolate background. You can see all the snow in the background here. But yeah, when you do a search for that, this has been for a number of years now, because I first looked into this in around 2020 and started to notice a lot of these patterns. So you can see here, if you do a quick search, you see all these people wearing these weird, almost dystopian type of gas masks. And they seems like they're set in these almost dystopian environments. You can see here some of the stuff that looks almost similar to what some of the people who wearing the so-called protective stuff for COVID is wearing, right? So you can see they're wearing those weird masks there, and a lot of them seem to be possibly military personnel. You can see here the nuclear winter mask here, same mask, and then in the background you can see just burning. Everything's burnt and desolate. It looks like something significant has happened. Some sort of possibly a nuclear bomb has gone off, or something has gone off just to make everything just desolate and blackened, scorched earth. You can see in the background there. And then you got this guy here with the imagery of the nuclear winter masks, which they have been for many years attempting to subconsciously program people to accept. And so to me it seems like this is something that could be coming down the road. Again, you see that here. They've had this in a lot of movie posters, on the covers of albums even. If you look at, so there it is there again, and you see the background there again, it's this desolate background. Someone who looks like possibly they could be military personnel. You can't tell for sure, but they're wearing, again, that strange, almost sci-fi looking mask. And yeah, so and then if we look here, this is an album cover from some band, Sodom, or some metal band or whatever. And you can see the cross, the image of the cross in the background. He's wearing the nuclear winter mask again here. Those weird, creepy masks. He's got a military helmet on. It appears to be a military helmet. And he's packing a big, the gun there. So this seems to be an image of someone who could be military personnel. And in the background, you see these buildings here. It looks like a major city, possibly New York. And then this dust and all this desolate background here, but the building's still standing there. So again, this is all imagery when you do a quick search for nuclear winter. And again, you can see that there. Of course, interestingly enough, here you see the image of the guy wearing the weird mask with the red and blue. So of course the red and blue representing Freemasonry. The red and the blue, put the red and the blue together, you get purple. You see that all over. All the news organizations have the red and the blue imagery here. And of course you see a lot of the sci-fi imagery here too, with like, you got Terminator 2. But yeah, so when you do a search for this, and then again, nuclear winter here, we see all these photos of this desolate landscape that looks like something very significant has happened. Possibly a nuclear bomb has been dropped, and everything has gone, it's winter, it's extremely cold. Again, for many years, it seems that they have almost been trying to tie in the climate change hoax with this stuff. It seems intertwined in this with this deceit, but this is all programming here. So you can see again nuclear winter here, nuclear winter here. Another guy wearing military attire. We'll take a look here. So yeah, the masks all over there. If you do a search for nuclear winter and there's these masks, there it is again. There you can see the desolate background, the winter conditions, very cold conditions. Seems as if something has possibly been done to affect the temperature, the climate as well. There's more nuclear winter by the other guy, art, deviant art. So you see a lot of these occult people, practitioners, also putting this stuff out. Like a lot of metal bands will have this imagery on the cover of their albums, like I showed here. This, where is it here? Sodom, some band here. Yeah, so you can see it on YouTube there as well. Interesting name too, Sodom, with the biblical reference to Sodom and Gomorrah. And again, you see here, nuclear winter, the mask. You can see how much of this is out there. And they've been programming people subconsciously just to see this imagery for quite some time now. For, I don't want to say for the full decade, but for quite some time. Definitely in pop culture with the movies and with music for a long, long time. believe they have that on the cover of the album of one of the bands as well. Let me just do a quick search. I think Black Sabbath Never Say Die has that on the cover of their album, which is back in like 1978. Let's see, I'm pretty sure I recall that. Yeah, on the cover. Somebody wearing, again, one of those weird masks. It was in 1978, so let's see if we can... yeah, well, it's not... Okay, so it's not exactly that, but it's kind of something similar, almost. Look to be military personnel. Now, they're not showing you, like, that weird background. They're just showing you the military personnel wearing these masks. Okay, so maybe that's not as much it. I just seem to recall that, but there are quite a few musicians who have put that imagery out there, just like with the 9/11 imagery, where they're putting a lot of programming out before that happened, with musicians putting things like that on the cover of their albums to program people to prepare them for it subconsciously. So again, you see here Nuclearwinter, desolate landscape, and you see what appears to be a soldier roaming through the area there. So is this some sort of programming where they're preparing people for some sort of a nuclear attack, or something, that some manufactured thing that they are going to do, which would then lead to obviously mass casualties, and then an excuse to have military personnel come into major cities and sort of take control of things. In what they would declare, they'd say they're here for peacekeeping, etc. But realistically, it's all been planned many years ago. You can see again here, a military person appears to be with the hoodie, the occult black hooded symbolism there, and the Nuclearwinter mask there again. And there's no coincidences. You're not going to see that many of these people wearing those same weird, creepy masks if it wasn't for a reason. So they're trying to program you to accept seeing this, because hopefully not, but it seems like you might be seeing this at some point in the future, because there is going to be some sort of cataclysmic event. Now, it will be a manufactured event. They'll lie about it. They'll say it was something like a comet or something like that. But it will be manufactured. It will be done by these people who pull the strings. No question about it. Now, having said that, I want to touch upon something else here regarding this subject matter, which ties in with it. And this is a documentary that the BBC put out, ironically enough, in the year 1984. Right? 1984. And it's called On the Eighth Day, Nuclearwinter. So just want to go through a few clips of this here and show how this was put out, as I said, 1984, how they were trying to program people to accept this idea for many, many years. And so that's what this is. This is programming. They're talking about the possibility of what would happen if there was some sort of a nuclear attack, nuclear war involving the United States and Russia, and nuclear weapons were used. And what's the potential for what we already see, possibly on the table. Now, a lot of that is contrived, what they're doing there, but nonetheless, it is leading up to something, and there has been a lot of programming over the years for this. So let's take a brief look at this documentary, On the Eighth Day, Nuclearwinter, put out by the BBC in 1984. This documentary on YouTube, it's called On the Eighth Day, Nuclearwinter. Now, are they telling you something with regards to the date that they intend to do something with some sort of a nuclear bomb? Who can say for sure? But again, it was put out in 1984. You can find it on here. And you can tell, even back then, they're trying to program people to subconsciously accept something like this happening, because many years down the road, they knew that this was all going to happen, right? Very clearly. So take a look at this here. And it is, again, it's from 1984, this documentary. Let's take a look at a few clips here briefly.
On November the 1st, 1983, Moscow and Washington were linked by satellite and television for a most unusual scientific conference. Leading scientists from East and West had gathered to discuss the consequences to our planet.
And of course, leading scientists meaning these quote-unquote experts, again, people who are, in other words, just high-level Masons, and these occultists, and these people who pull the strings, putting them in to condition people to accept this. The same liars who they're claiming are experts now. A meeting of these people to basically attempt to condition you subconsciously to accept the possibility of wide-scale war, potentially between Russia and the United States, and nuclear weapons being used. And what do we see the potential of happening right on the horizon? Yeah.
Nuclear war.
No coincidence.
Using simultaneous translation. Of an increasing arms race has already led to the appearance of a number of
And make no mistake, these countries are working together. They're all working together. What you're seeing in the Ukraine, a lot of it is a lie. It is manufactured. Putin and Zelensky are both actors, and it's all being coordinated together to push these lies. So they've been conditioning people for many years to accept this and to accept this possibility. But what you're seeing there, much of what they're telling you on the news is just lies.
Ecological problems. It is quite clear that in the event of a nuclear war, the effect on the biosphere will be magnified. The conference was called by...
And again, of course, they're talking about the potential effects on the environment, on the climate as a result of nuclear war, again tying in the climate change hoax, which conveniently fits into this whole thing, so that they can use that as an excuse where if the temperatures are dramatically affected, because they do have the ability to manipulate the weather now, that's well documented. So if something like that were to happen, that type of thing, they could tie it in and say, well, it's all just the result of climate change, which is utter nonsense. It's all created by these people, and they are doing it to bring about this new age. But they can't do it through honesty. They have to do everything through deceit, lies, and manipulation. And so that's what they've been doing, programming people for years to accept this, knowing that this type of thing was coming and would eventually occur.
Including Carl Sagan, the astronomer.
Of course, Carl Sagan, this is one of the quote-unquote experts that for many years has been trotted out on the world stage to lie to you. And if you question the science, again, if you question the science, you know, you've got to be, delusional or something like that. If you ask any real questions about these lies that they tell, they'll just say, oh, you know, it's a conspiracy theory, etc., right? The usual rhetoric.
Climate of the Earth could change dramatically after a nuclear war, with weeks or months of
So you can see how it all ties in to the climate change hoax and the potential for nuclear war, which they themselves are planning. And it's all contrived. The Russia-Ukraine thing is contrived. It is being done as an excuse to do something to cause mass casualties. It hasn't happened yet, but they're planning something to bring the United States into the conflict. That's what I believe. And when they do, that will be used as an excuse for some sort of a nuclear attack, which will, of course, shut down power supplies in various areas of the world. And they'll then use this technology that they have to manipulate the weather to cause drastically, terribly cold temperatures, which will also kill even more people than the actual nuclear attack. Or, as you know, not more, but it will kill more people even after the devastating results of this, you know, possible nuclear attack that could be on the horizon.
Biologists in the United States presented with the scenarios that Dr. Sagan just described could come to a unanimous conclusion on the consequences for biological systems.
And to destroy food crops over much of the planet. Results that cast doubt on the credibility of current nuclear strategy. The so-called limited nuclear war. This again stresses that in a nuclear war there can be no victor and no vanquish. In the final analysis, all sides suffer fatally, and Professor Sagan has already spoken of this at the beginning of the conference. Thus we are raising the very question of life on Earth.
And so you can see again how they're preparing people for that. They're programming people to accept the potential for some major catastrophe, that the result of some sort of a nuclear bomb. This is all something that they're planning, and it probably is going to lead to mass casualties, but it's not going to be what they're telling you as the result of some organic conflict, because what's going on in the Ukraine is not an organic conflict. It is manufactured, and they're working together to push this lie as a justification for something that they're going to do down the road, like some sort of nuclear bomb, which will then lead to the military coming into all of these major cities, and eventually leading to what was programmed for many years, this whole new age that they want, which will be a total military police state dictatorship, which will rise out of the ashes of what they have destroyed through the order out of chaos Masonic agenda. And that's what it is, order out of chaos. They create the chaos, and then they bring you order out of the chaos which they themselves created. So you can see here more programming.
The nuclear age began when the first atom bomb was exploded in 1945 in New Mexico. Scientists then knew little about the effects of a nuclear explosion. But now it's thought that this test may have caused hundreds of deaths from leukemia. Only 3 weeks later, the first atom bomb was used in warfare. spared conventional...
Now, I want to go forward to one part of this documentary where they're actually talking about how this is going to affect the food supply significantly. Now, let's see here. I just want to go forward to it, to the part where they're talking about that. How the dramatic change in temperature and caused by this nuclear attack will then lead to a significant effect with the food supply, with regards to the food supply. So let's see here. I think it's around here.
Important railway junction. The town is there to service the farms, which only produce the one crop, maize. All the supplies to the farms, fertilizer, fuel, machinery, come from very large distances by truck or rail. The immediate impact of a nuclear war would be to cut off the transport that links Grand Island to the economy of the rest of America.
Right, so you can see again there are more things that they plan to do here with cutting off the transport, affecting the food supply, all as an excuse of something that could be catastrophic that they are going to do.
Electricity and communications failure would probably paralyze.
Right, and of course, when that happens, obviously the internet goes down. Everything goes down. The ability to communicate online is then forfeited, is then gone as well. So all of that goes down for a significant amount of time, at least until they rebuild out of the ashes of the chaos that they themselves intend to create.
The supermarkets would probably empty in the days of crisis leading up to the attack. Every single item in this supermarket comes from Omaha, the state capital, which is the headquarters of the Strategic Air Command, and one of the most important targets in America.
So you can see again how they're programming you to accept this. This might happen, this could happen. It could severely affect the food supplies, cut off food supplies in areas, lead to major food shortages. This is 1984. They're putting this programming out to subconsciously program your mind to accept the possibility of this happening and look at what could lay on the horizon.
Food travels from producer to consumer in America is 400 miles. Most fruit and vegetables are grown in Florida and California and travel an average of 1,800 miles to be eaten. It's estimated that a third of fuel refineries might survive, but 80% of the workers would be killed.
So you heard that there. 80% of the workers would be killed.
Trucking would stop.
And all of the industries would be shut down as a result of this catastrophic event, which they're preparing you for. Again, as I said, this documentary was put out in 1984, and I know the BBC are horrible. I'm just showing it. They're a propaganda outlet, but I'm showing it to show you that they were preparing people for this subconsciously through documentaries like this for many, many years. So they knew this was coming all the way many years ago.
Without it, agricultural machinery is also useless. Many of the farms would still have grain stored, but it would be hard to get it to the towns. To plant the stored grain without machinery would be next to impossible. David Pimentel.
To give you an example, we presently produce corn with an input of about 10 hours per hectare of labor, of direct farm labor. If you were to raise corn by hand without this tractor power and so
Okay, so anyway, he's talking about the potential effects on the food supply, and if this is an interesting documentary to watch. Now, again, I know the BBC are horrible; they're a propaganda outlet, but in this, you can see they're programming you for these things that those pulling the strings intend to do. No question about it.
Because of the destruction of ports and the world financial
World trade
system.
would cease. Okay.
This would have a terrible impact on the population of third world countries, many of whom are already critically dependent on food.
Right. Exactly. Oh,
imports.
yeah. It would devastate them. So again, they're showing you all of what will well, hopefully it won't happen. Let's hope it doesn't. But it seems like they're programming you to accept all of this destruction and chaos that could occur. Again, why would they put out a hypothetical like this if they didn't, you know what I mean? Like say, well, this could happen. This could happen. There could be a nuclear war between the United States and Russia. Well, why wouldn't they just prevent that and not have that happen? You know what I mean? Because they planned it. They planned it many, many years ago. All of this has been pre-planned. And they were programming people many, many years in advance to subconsciously accept this.
The darkness and cold would not only affect the countries at war, it would sweep indiscriminately around the globe, affecting all alike with appalling extremes of weather.
Yeah, disturbing stuff. So here's another one. If you look here, they've got all these documentaries that they put out to prepare people for this. Again, the term continually used over and over again, repetition with this term, nuclear winter. Nuclear winter, you can see here. Nuclear winter nightmare, doomsday, 10 ways the world, what does it say? 10 ways the world will end. So again, now this is a more recent documentary, obviously. I haven't watched this one. This is the History Network, again, more propaganda, but yeah, so this is more recent. And what are they doing? Nuclear winter nightmare. They're preparing you subconsciously for some catastrophic event which probably will involve a nuclear bomb. And they're probably going to talk about United States and Russia being involved in war too, because right now, like I said, they've got this wag the dog war going on in Ukraine and Russia. That's Russia there. They showed. The volume's not too good on this one. And it's no coincidence that they're right now releasing films like this Oppenheimer, which has to do, again, with a nuclear bomb, right? They're putting that out now, that movie. You know, there's no coincidences there. It's very obvious. It's programming. As most of your movies and TV and pop culture are programming. Subconscious programming, programming you to accept these things. And they programmed you to accept this scenario in the movies for years as well, right? There you go. So that's what they intend to do. Again, look into this some more, Nuclear Winter. Look into the imagery that they've put out for years. Again, you see the image of the mushroom cloud there, the nuclear bomb all over here. And then you see these dystopic imagery of these desolate landscapes here, like this, right? So for many years, they've been programming people to accept this. You can see he's wearing the mask there again, and it looks like just this wreckage here, the aftermath of some cataclysmic event. And again, you can see all these masks. They've regularly been programming people to see people wearing these masks, specifically people who appear to be military personnel. This has been going on for years, and you can look into it and you can see all the connections to see there's no coincidences. It is subconscious programming, unfortunately, for something it seems that they intend to do. So again, it's Nuclear Winter. Look into it and look into what seems to be on the horizon. Hopefully not, but again, the documentary which I was referencing there it's called On the Eighth Day Nuclear Winter. Again, I'll go back here. It's from the BBC. You can look into that and what they're showing in that. That was in 1984. It is programming you to accept this order out of chaos agenda that they are in the process of unveiling right now.